Welcome back to Lana Lash's YouTube channel, and today's gonna look a little different. If you don't know who I have on, this is my brother Ignacio. Just kidding, he's my husband. Do we look alike? Absolutely not. But, why are you laughing?
You're more funny in this channel than anything else.
Because I'm talking to my girls. That's, it's different. It's girl talk, business talk, I know my audience. I know you guys. You guys are like my sisters. With that being said, let's get back into the YouTube video. Okay, so today is gonna look a little different. And me, Danielle, and Ignacio were brainstorming 2025, and it's like our goal is to really help you guys. And if you don't know my husband Ignacio from previous master classes, he actually helps me on the back end of things, because when he came into my business, he said, girl, your business is a mess. You're not even operating as a business, you're operating as a very irresponsible person.
Well, yeah, with you it was a little bit more harsh than I will be with the audience.
Yeah, that's okay. I like honesty. And ever since then, he's really helped me scale my business. And that's what we want to help you girls and guys, with 2025 and so forth. So he's, we've decided to pretty much partner up, and he's going to be helping me more hands-on here, and you guys will see him more. And we have this idea of, I don't know if I should announce it, but it'll be later. Yeah. We'll see how this video goes, and the questions that you guys have and the feedback, and if it's really helpful with that. So with that being said, don't forget to join my broadcast channel on Instagram, just because we do ask for feedback and any questions that you guys have, and they can totally remain anonymous. So with that being said, let's get started. Let's answer the first question. I would say number one is stop focusing on what everybody else is doing. Stop copying what everybody else is doing. There's a difference between getting inspiration and actually copying the person, right? Wanting to be exactly like that person when God created you in his image. So that just makes you different, period, and special. So really embrace that, really own that. And number two is, again, the moment that you stop focusing on everybody else is when you can get to know what you actually like and stop being distracted by others. So start focusing on, again, who you are, what's your personality, because if you're more of a laid back person and you like vibrant colors, I don't expect you to get on camera glammed up every day, because then when your clients come and see you, they're like, okay, this isn't the person that is on my Instagram. So I think really matching who you are with the aesthetic of your brand is gonna also help you stand out, right? Because everybody's gonna relate to somebody. Somebody might relate to me because of my story that I shared and my aesthetic, versus somebody is gonna relate to you because of your story and they just feel like they might vibe with you better, right? So at the end of the day, it's just stop focusing on everybody else and get to know who you are. At the end of the day, there's so many lash artists, so many nail artists, so many hairstylists, so many everything. But again, just figure out how you can stand apart, and just stop doing what everybody else is doing and do what you like. That's what I would say. I know wispy lashes are in, but if you genuinely don't like wispy lashes, don't do them, right? There's a market for everybody. There's still girls who love full D-curl mega volume, and that's okay. Stick to what you like, and it's great to explore, but if you truly don't like doing a certain set, just don't do it at all.
Copying also makes it hard for you to scale, because you are not laying down foundations for your own journey. You ask the question as to, how do I stand out, And what was the other part of the question? How do I stand out?
In this competitive industry.
In this competitive industry. So the way you stand out is by being different, not by following what everybody else is doing. Question number two, this is a very common mistake that Well, you did it, but you did the other way around.
Yeah.
What she did, she used to have her business account and she would treat her business account as her personal account, which is wrong too. So the answer to this question is yes, you should open up a business account, you should have an LLC, and you should operate as a business. Even if you are working from home, while you are providing a service, you are representing your business. So definitely the answer is yes. And this is a very common mistake that a lot of people in the beauty industry suffer from.
So I notice us as women, I understand, and Ignacio, my husband, reminds me all the time that us as women, we are just naturally emotional. And it's not a bad thing, right? Because we are made to nurture, and that is what the world needs. But if we constantly just move on motivation, then you're not going to be consistent, right? So, oh, I went through a breakup, I kind of lost track of my business. Okay, you can afford that, you know? It's like, how bad do you really want change, right? Like, even if you don't have kids now, think about your future kids. Like, are you going to have that mentality then? So I think it's just like not basing your actions on emotions and being clear on what you need to do every single day, understanding that it's a process, because at the end of the day, like, what's the rush, right? And that's something that like I've had to understand myself, because I wanted everything now. But oftentimes but God knows your plans. So it's like, if you try to just move without him on your own timing, things are gonna go very wrong. And especially if you want them now, like, there's a reason you don't have them now. Like, I look back and I'm like, if I had X amount of money when I was 19, 20 years old, I would have blown it up, you know, because I was focused on the wrong things. But now that I'm older, I can see why, you know, things didn't happen in the way that I personally wanted them to happen. So I think it's also, again, just like being organized. I have a calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. Not procrastinating. Like, I don't like to wait on doing the things that I know I have to do.
I think that the more direct or simpler way to say everything that you're saying that is right is staying consistent on motivation are feelings. Motivation, it's a feeling, and then what you need for business is to be disciplined. Mm-hmm. So you need to be able to separate your emotions from your tasks, and you need to also withdraw the expectation of like, okay, this month I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and it's going to produce A. Because sometimes you do X, Y, and Z, and the result doesn't come in until the next time, but not attaching the emotion to that result and just attaching yourself to the execution of everything you do is what is going to actually help you move forward, you know? Like, I was having this conversation with a friend of mine that he's very successful, and I asked him, like, hey, was your goal ever to be this successful, this wealthy? And his answer kind of like shocked me, because it was like, no, truthfully, all I always focused on was in completing tasks. So I think that when you focus on completing tasks, if you're a lash tech and you focus on, okay, I need to have 50 clients this week, I don't know if that's possible or not, but I need to have 50 clients this week, then focus on that.
Yeah.
Don't start like dreaming of like, oh no, I need to do content and I need to do this and I need to do that.
You need to do content to get the clients. But I know, like, products, students, whatever.
Correct.
And now that you said that, when I first started my journey, even just like the simple act of deciding to take a course, that was just my goal to complete. Let me just finish this course. It was never to open a salon, open products. Like, I never had that in mind. I never even knew that I could do it. And then when I started taking clients, I never even imagined to open a salon. I just thought like, okay, how can I just complete the day?
Yeah, take the next available step, and then, you know, just focus on that. Don't don't focus on 10 steps ahead when you're not even able to focus on what you have in front of you. Mm-hmm. The best way for you to manage business expenses, first of all, and I said this on the webinar that we host, we haven't hosted one in a while now, but I've said this every time I had the chance to speak to the audience here at Atlanta Lashes, is that the first thing and the most common mistake that I see from most people in the beauty industry is that they do not know their numbers, right? And if you do not know your numbers, if you do not know how much money you're bringing in, and you don't identify your direct business expenses to know your direct net profit, you can't answer this question rightfully, right? You're already making mistakes, you know? So that would be the first step, to get those things in order, to get a good accounting system in place. And when I say accounting system, guys, also a lot of you think that bookkeeping and accounting is such a horrible task, but I promise you that if you get your hands on it early and you are caught up, it will not take you more than 30 minutes a day, you know, 30 minutes every 2 days, depending on how much movement your business has.
Well, if you buy on Amazon like we do a lot, then it'll take you 30 minutes every day.
Exactly, those are things that we need to sort out. But like the bottom line is that, you know, you need to know your numbers to then identify what are your expenses. And then, you know, I think that kind of answers the second part of the question by itself, is like the only way that you avoid the tax mistakes is by you knowing your numbers throughout the year. I think that a lot of you struggle with too many mistakes when it comes to taxes because you guys wait till the last minute to do your taxes, until you do your accounting and do all these things. It's like kind of like most people in America, the end of the year comes and they grab all the receipts, all their papers, and they go to the accountant and they're like, hey, help me with my taxes. And now you're like, okay, well, now you have to pay X amount of dollars, and now you're like, oh, I don't have the money. Why don't you have the money? Because you didn't know your numbers to begin with, you know? Or that could be one case, or the other case is that you have to start like cheating to say that you don't owe any money. So then in that case, you know, like you can get away with murder, you know? But the bottom line is like, you need to know your numbers, and the best way for you to know your numbers is through knowing your profit and loss and understanding your balance sheet. You do that through programs like QuickBooks. And once you are past that, then you can understand your expenses, and that will help you avoid common tax mistakes, you know? I don't know if that answers the question, but...
Sounds like it. No.
It kind of attached. So this question kind of goes in line with the prior question that we just answered, you know? A lot of you, and you were guilty of this at the beginning, you were just thinking that because you were busy, you needed to hire somebody, right? And that could be a good indication that, hey, I'm very busy, I don't have time to do certain things, let me hire somebody. But the most important thing for you to know if you need to hire somebody is find in your numbers if you can afford to hire somebody. Just because you have workload, it doesn't mean that you can afford to hire somebody. And hiring people sounds amazing because it sounds like now you are a business owner, like now you're a boss, you know? Or like you ladies call yourself like boss babes. I don't like that term, but I thought it was just funny to say. So, you know, you guys are bosses, and that sounds amazing, but here's the thing, being a boss, it's actually putting yourself last. It's actually having people depend on you, right? So if you have people depend on you, but you don't know if you can actually support them financially because you don't know your numbers and you're just basing the decision based on, hey, I'm busy, I don't have time to do content. Like a lot of the girls on the mastermind, they would be like, oh, but I don't have time to do this, I don't have time to do that, should I hire? And what would the answer be? Like, well, can you afford it in the first place? So you need to know your numbers, and if you can afford it, and then you're feeling overwhelmed, and you're feeling that your time is not allocated in the right things to make the business grow, then that's the right time to hire somebody. But before you get to that point, you need to make sure that you can afford that person.
Yeah, and it's also like depends, like, again, like what you're hiring. Are you gonna hire a lash artist? Are they gonna be W-2, or are they gonna be an independent contractor? Like, those are things that you also like need to look into. And just because you're busy, and I've seen it firsthand, just because you're busy doesn't mean that they're gonna get booked right away. Mm-hmm. I definitely recommend having to pay them right out of pocket and not just commission, at least for 2 to 3 months, right? And then expect them to get booked in like 5 to 6 months, right? Mm-hmm. To have steady income, and that's like good, you know?
Yeah, that's the best case scenario.
That's the best case scenario, because again, just because you're booked doesn't mean that they're gonna get booked right away. Mm-hmm. You know, that's like double the clients. Mm-hmm. Okay, so for me, my biggest pet peeve is not getting good service consistently. So you need to treat them as if it's their first time. Even if they've been to you 50 times, you need to make sure that you require the same amount of effort in your work and in your presence overall, right? Like, I don't know, there's nothing more that I dislike than just going to a service provider and it's like one day they're great and then one day they're upset. And I understand, like, we're all human and we have feelings, but like, there's a time and place to bring personal matters into the business, you know? And you can let them know, like, hey, like, I'm just gonna play a podcast today. I'm not feeling too well, but I'm here for you if you ever need me. You know, you can just be open to that versus like having like a crappy attitude and they think it's them. So I would say, like, that's like one of the best ways to really have client retention. And again, the same experience: water, tea, champagne, snacks.
Champagne?
Pre-booking.
Damn, you guys are fancy.
We don't have champagne here, but
actually it goes to what I was actually going to recommend. There's a book called Unreasonable Hospitality. Mm-hmm. And you guys need to understand that beautypreneurs, you guys are in the hospitality business, you know? People will pay more for the experience. Like, it's not only about the service, but it's also about the experience. So if you have a great service, you know, you are actually, if you're a business owner and you are training your artists to actually provide unreasonable hospitality to your customers, I think that will not only increase retention, but it will grow your business.
Yes.
You know, and that's the best way, in my opinion, to grow your business, because it's word of mouth. It doesn't cost you anything. You're not paying for advertising. You're not paying for referrals. You're not paying for leads. It's literally you being unreasonably hospitable. Thank you, babe. Towards your clients, and that will not only bring them back, but it will bring other clients back.
Yes.
This is actually I can't give them too much because I would talk for an hour, but this is a very specific question that I will need to have a lot more context to it. But just to clarify something, a single member LLC, it's a solo proprietorship. So I don't actually know exactly what you mean. I guess, let me say this. I guess that what you're meaning is, should I keep operating as myself or should I open up an LLC? The answer is always straightforward on this, is you should always have an LLC. If you are providing a service, if you are giving support, whatever you're doing, like business-wise, that is generating you income, you should always do it as LLC, unless it's something very minimal, like, for example, getting referral fees from Amazon, right? Let's say, like, and again, I don't want to talk bad about anything. I'm not talking bad about anything. I'm saying, like, I know there's people that make a lot of money doing Amazon referral things. So at that level, I would also open up an LLC. But if you just start, let's say an Amazon front store, right? And you're making $40, $50, $300 a month just because you just started, that doesn't require to have an LLC. But if you are performing a beauty service, whether you're a hairstylist, whether you're a lash tech, whether you are an eyebrow, how do you call it? Eyebrow artist? Okay, eyebrow artist, a barber, whatever you are in the beauty industry, these are all services that you guys have liability exposure, because you are working on other people's bodies. So to protect yourself from that and to take advantage of the business laws out there to reduce your taxes and to generate money, I would always have an LLC. So you're making around 80K a year, and then you have another 500 that you're making. So yeah, you're making almost 90 grand a year. So the first thing, to answer the first part of the question as to how much you should get paid, is, first of all, I would look into how your business structure is being set up, right? And maybe we can talk this more in depth in in another episode. I don't know how to call it, because there's a lot to go into this. I would start from, first of all, looking if my business is set up correctly, if you have an S Corp, because an S Corp will reduce your taxes tremendously. So that would be the first advice that I give you. The second advice that I would give you is, if you actually at that income level, do you actually need to rent out that bed? Because let me explain something really quick. Like, you have $1,000 in rent every month, that's a deductible expense, meaning that will withdraw from your taxes at the end of the year, meaning that you will pay less taxes because of that $1,000 expense that you have. But now you are cutting that expense in half because somebody's giving you $500. So a lot of the times, and this is something that you went through, and you and I kind of like was one of the first things that you and I talk a lot about it, because it didn't make sense for us, is like, when you are making income and you have an expense that can deduct that income and you're benefiting from that expense, in this case, you're benefiting from your space, you can use your space for whatever you want in your business, there's no need for you to cut that expense in half, despite what most people think that it's smart, I'm saving money. Because in reality, you're not saving money. At the end of the day, you have to give that money to the IRS. So that's the first thing that I would look into. It is like, hey, do I really need to rent this bed? Or can I just keep the whole space for me and take the $12,000 that I pay in rent as a deductible at the end of the year on my income? That's number one. And then number three, it would be, I would do an analysis on how much do I need to actually cover my living expenses, meaning like how much you paid for home, like from housing, car, groceries, and I would take that budget, and that would be the minimum that I would get paid. So once I'm set up correctly and I understand, okay, how much do I need to cover my basic needs? That's what I would get paid. And then the rest, I would leave it in the business, and I would use it to buy supplies for the business. And then, going back to one of the first questions that we answered today, is like, once you understand your profit and loss in your business, once you understand the operation of your business, there's a lot of things that you can do with your money that will help you reduce your taxes. And again, we don't have enough time to go through all those things. Actually, we will be coming up with things that will help you navigate these type of questions in the near future. But like, if you want to know more specific, maybe you can talk to the team here, and we'll talk more in detail. What were you going to say?
No, just to stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being on this episode. Let me know in the comments down below if you really enjoyed this and what you guys want to know more about. We are here to help. So please don't forget to subscribe, like, and we'll see you guys in the next YouTube video.